The first dinner that Zonta held 50 years ago was something that we never thought was going to happen, but this Canadian woman had been sent by Zonta headquarters to start clubs all around Australia and New Zealand, and she landed in Brisbane. She was only here 3 or 4 days. She just got a list of people together. She came to interview one of my partners, who was a very prominent lawyer at that time, Elaine Peterson. And Elaine said, oh, well, she'd go if I went. And Dorothy Thompson was the lady that was organizing it all. And she said, oh, no, we only have one of a kind. In those days, there was a classification system, and there was only one lawyer, one doctor, one nurse, one whatever. And Elaine said, oh, well, take Lenine, because I wouldn't make a good Zonta. Anyhow, she said, oh, well, bring her along. So I really got a second-hand invitation to the inaugural dinner. I thought I needed women's club like a hole in the head. I was very busy. I had young children. I was a widow. I had a big job to do. Anyhow, when I thought, oh, well, I was naive, and I thought there was such a thing as a free dinner. And so along I went for this free dinner, and there were all these women that were fascinating. I was never going to meet these people again. All had to have our name on a badge with our classification, and Babette was there, Babette Stevens. When Dorothy the organizer tried to tell us about Zonta, she explained how it would work, and then she said, now we've got to have an election, and we're going to have somebody be the president. Well, Babette started preening herself ready. If she was going to join this club, she was going to be the president. I wasn't going to join this club because I didn't have time for this club, and the next thing I knew, Coralie and I were vice presidents, and this was all over dessert. By the end of the night, we had a club. We had, I think, about 30-odd members, and they stuck for a long time. That was our first dinner, and we joined a women's club that we didn't ever think that we needed. It started with that first dinner as a friendship thing. You know, it was a nice, women weren't dining out. Husbands went and had luncheons, you know, and dinners, but it wasn't so much, because most of the women in that club were the only woman where they were working, because we had always had a good cause to make sure that, you know, we were doing something other than just socializing. But it was really the friendship at the beginning that brings you back, rather than thinking we certainly never thought this is going to look good on my CV, because nobody was moving in those days. You had a job and you did that job for life. It was a great start to an organization that's changed so much over the 50 years, and the members have changed and grown in aspiration. We do promote things now much more than we did before. Well, there were no women politicians originally, you know, and then as women started to be elected to Parliament, we had parties to welcome them and to celebrate with them, you know, to promote them for ourselves as well as for them, to see the times were changing. And so I made wonderful friendships that have lasted all my life, and wonderful people I've got to know, skills that I've learned. I mean, I wasn't staying in for the skill learning, but I realize in hindsight now at my age, when you look over your life, how many wonderful things I learned through Zonta, how I learned about the value of educating women, you know, that our clubs now support all those scholarships. That wasn't on the cards at the beginning. It was just a wonderful part of my life that I realize now. It helped to form me in many, many ways. I learned wonderful things. Learning to be president, you know, and trying to bring a assorted group of women together to work on a common cause that they didn't always agree with. But whatever the topics were, if they were a little bit controversial, we still all worked together and we still promoted the same sort of causes, and we all grew. I think the club today is really, it's keeping up with the times. And it's still the same. I mean, there's still friendships there, but they're managing to promote issues much better than we ever did, because they just, I think the women, the caliber of the members in the club are so high that they inform the rest of us, and I'm still learning a lot at every meeting I go to, because I just like to hear what's happening in the wider world that I might not know about, but the people that are still working come and bring that to the club as issues, you know. I mean, I read the papers and I watch the television, but I'm not in there with the nitty-gritty anymore at my age, and so for me it's a pleasure to go along to the club meetings. Even, you know I don't contribute as much as I used to, but I still try to, because that's part of the membership thing. But no, I think the club now is something we're very proud of. 50 years down the track, it's been a great turnout of women, and yeah, really good. Makes me feel good anyway. Do we still need Zonta? We certainly do. There are still many issues and many battles to be fought, I suppose. But when I look over the 50 years, we've come such a long way that I know I sound like and I am an antique, but I sound really a dinosaur when we talk about things, you know. The times have changed just incredibly, just incredibly. So it's wonderful for me to see the young women in our club today, and to see the issues that they promote, and the skill that is in that club to be able to bring forward problems, whether it's the older women of not having enough money for retirement. They just do it in such a professional way, whereas it makes our little afternoon tea party, make your own cakes, bring along whatever, seem so out of date. But we did it, and it's very rewarding to look at how things have progressed in that 50 years, and you think, where are they going to go in another 50 years? And I think Zonta will always be there. There'll always be needs in the community one way or another. It's just really been very nice for me to see that it has done so well in the 50 years. I'm kind of sad that I'm the only one that's still there, and so I miss my friends. There were some very good people in our club, and they did wonderful things for women and for Zonta, and I'd just like to remember them and all, and think, in the next 50 years, you'll have a whole lot of new friends and new members, and people will do wonderful things that we can't even imagine. I can't even imagine at this stage, but I know it'll go ahead, and women will always care for other women and make sure that they right any wrongs that they find in their community.